Good evening. I am Saad Al-Aziz, the owner and head instructor here at Semper Fortis Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and here to answer this week's question of the week. So I had a question. Somebody in last week's video asked a question in the comment section. That basically was, can an overweight person start jiu-jitsu and do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and make progress and get good at it? And the quick and simple answer is absolutely yes. Like, you can come into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like, don't wait to try to get in shape to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's sort of like, we don't wait until our children are educated and wiser before we send them to school. It's like, no, once they get to the age that they're eligible for school, we send them to school, and that's where they learn. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the same way. Like, if you come in here and you're out of shape, in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, we're going to help you get in shape. So if a person was in phenomenal physical condition, already had a tremendous amount of skills, like say Khabib or George St. Pierre from the UFC, they don't need our instruction. They're already good. Like, if you're already in great physical shape and you're a really good, talented martial artist, then you probably don't need to come here to Semper Fortis Jiu-Jitsu. We're here to take people, that have a baseline of like, hey, I can move, I can do some stuff, but I don't have very good cardio. Can you help me? Absolutely, we can help you. Don't let weight hinder you, because the reality is you come in here, you learn jiu-jitsu, and some people train jiu-jitsu throughout their whole life and get their black belts in Brazilian jiu-jitsu and are overweight. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about weight, because it's a big concern with a lot of people, and we'll just address that. So what gyms don't tell you, and these fitness programs don't tell you, is the dirty little secret is just going to a gym, whether it's Gold's Gym, whether it's doing Taebo or yoga, or I don't even know if people still do aerobics, like just getting active alone may cause a little weight loss, but it's not going to help you with significant weight loss. If weight loss is your goal, like, you can be very active and very athletic and still, be, overweight. So being overweight is really just a symptom of the problem. It's not the problem itself. And so what I want people to focus on is like a whole healthy life solution. And when you do that, then the weight loss will come. But the reality is that you cannot outwork through physical training a bad diet. Now, if you're sedentary and you don't get any exercise and you start exercising, yeah, you'll lose some weight. But if you're already active and you start exercising, maybe you'll lose a little bit, but it's not going to be like a significant amount. What you have to do is, there's 3 areas of life that you need to focus on, for a healthy outcome. And one is your diet. You just can't outwork a bad diet. So if you're eating unhealthy foods, if you're overeating, it's going to be a problem, and you're not going to be able to exercise enough to compensate for that. 2, you do need to exercise. You need to get exercise. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a great exercise. You can burn a lot of calories doing this. Also with judo. But like in my daily life, one of the ways I get exercise is I walk my dogs every day. 7 days a week, I walk them between 5 and 10 miles a day. And they love it. They get a lot of exercise. I love it. It's good for my health. And, so getting exercise. You just got to get moving, So getting exercise is part of the equation. But diet, exercise, and then the third element is getting the proper amount of sleep and sleeping well. So what I mean by that is like in my struggle, and also in one of my good friends Stomp's struggle, is we found out that we had sleep apnea. So we were sleeping maybe 8 hours a night, but we weren't getting 8 hours of sleep a night because we had this disease. So you have to look at your sleeping. But a lot of people in our society, they'll go in and they'll function. And they're like, I get 4 hours of sleep a night. I function. I make it work. And no question, like you can, function on a baseline. It's just not healthy. Like you need 8 hours of sleep a night. They say, oh, you could get away with 7. But for a healthy lifestyle, like that needs to be the norm. You get 7, 8 hours of sleep a night. If you're getting 4 hours of sleep a night, 5 hours of sleep a night, yeah, you'll still function. You're just not going to function well, and it's not going to be healthy. So you can't just address one area of these 3 and think, man, that's going to fix my problem, because it's not. So exercise alone is not going to solve your problem, which is one of the reasons, say Gold's Gym. They'll do a 1-year membership. They know every year in January, a bunch of people are going to come sign up. They're going to do their New Year's resolutions. They're going to sign up. And then they're not going to see progress because they're going to train really hard for a month or 2, but they're going to still the same sleeping patterns. They're still going to have the same bad eating habits, and so they're going to be like, man, I've worked so hard at this Gold's Gym or this aerobics thing or this Brazilian Jiu Jitsu thing, and I didn't lose a pound. And in fact, you may even gain weight because what often happens is after a strenuous workout, your body's like, man, I'm really hungry. Feed me. So you might do a workout, burn 500 calories, and then go home and consume 1,000. It's like, man, I worked out really hard for a month at Gold's and gained weight. And that's possible, whether it's Gold's, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, aerobics, cycling, whatever you're doing. You're going to get really hungry after that exercise, and if you're not eating well, and you're not watching what you eat, you're going to end up gaining weight. So your goal of doing the exercise was to lose weight, and then you end up gaining weight. And it's a struggle. It's if it was easy, man, there would be major industries that would be out of business because it'd be like losing weight. Yeah, that's easy. We just do that really easy. It's not easy. It's very hard. And but it's a struggle. I believe it's worth fighting. So don't let your weight be a hindrance to starting Brazilian Jiu Jitsu or any other athletic cardiovascular activity, whether you want to take up cycling, whether you want to take up hiking, basketball, whatever, jogging, if you enjoy it, because I think that's the key to consistently doing working out activities, burning calories, is it has to be something that you enjoy. I used to really enjoy jogging, but if you don't like jogging, that's not something that you're going to continuously do every day. And so you'll skip a day because you're like, I really don't want to do it. So you have to find something that you really enjoy. And if it's, for me, it's Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I freaking love Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. When I'm not doing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, I'm thinking about Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. And that was long before I ever owned a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu school. It's what, I wake up thinking about it. Sometimes I go to sleep thinking about, man, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, these moves, these techniques, these answers. And then when I get on the mats, I end up, in a night, depending on how I spar, I might burn 500, 1,000 calories in a sparring session. You never know. I don't wear one of those little fit trackers, but I've read other places that say, you burn a significant amount of calories, which is pretty realistic because you're grappling, giving 100% of your effort, for maybe 30, 40 minutes, an hour. It's like, yeah, you're going to burn a lot of calories. But you can't just focus on the exercise. That has to be one part. The other part, you have to focus on, like, don't neglect your sleep. It's too easy, it's too common, and that's probably leads to our health issues in the US. I think one of the major factors is we do neglect our sleep, we do neglect exercise, and we eat horrible. And we're like, man, I don't know why I'm gaining all this weight. Well, there's three things that you need to address, and you're not doing any of the three. Or you're only doing one of the three, and the other two are overwhelming you. So when it comes to dieting, just know that don't get caught up in a fad diet. Whatever healthy eating lifestyle diet that you take on, it needs to be something that you can do for the rest of your life. So if it's like, man, I'm not going to eat carbs for the rest of my life, I don't know that that's sustainable. Maybe, but I don't know that it is. But in our gym, we've had three big weight loss success stories. And the cool thing is all three of us, although Brazilian Jiu Jitsu was a part, but all three of us did it significantly different ways. And what I mean by that is our diet was significantly different. So like you have me, I went from like 212, 210 in August to like 180 in maybe November, December. But you're like, well, how did you do it? Well, for the past 5 years, I've been on a pescatarian diet, which is basically a vegetarian diet except I eat seafood. But I did that because of cholesterol, not because of weight loss. So I do a pescatarian diet. But then in August of this past year, I was like, you know what? I want to lose some weight. And so I decided to give up sweets. And what I realized was that like I had a tremendous addiction to sweets. Like it sounds silly, but I started to think about it. I was like, man, every day I would eat a Reese's peanut butter cup. And not the regular size one. I'd get like the super size big one or the one that had 4 in a pack. Every day I would eat that. Like that was bare minimum. That was my baseline. And then I would also eat a bowl of ice cream every day. And then I would eat, if somebody had some donuts, I'd be like, oh yeah, give me a donut. Or, cake, I'm down with that. Or cookies, okay, yeah, I'll take some of those cookies. And then my thought process was, I'll just burn the calories off. But the reality was I was staying around like 200 to 210, and I would just fluctuate in that weight range. And I thought, well, that's okay because, the rest of my family members, my father, a couple of my brothers, are over 300 pounds. So I'm like, well, I'm doing great. I'm working out a lot. So it's like 200 to 210 is just my baseline. That's where I'm supposed to be. Until I eliminated those sweets. And then I also started this thing called intermittent fasting. So for 16 hours of the day, I don't eat. And then I do an 8-hour window. So they call it a 16-8. And then for my 8-hour window, I'll eat. But like I'm focusing more on eating healthy food, so I'm avoiding the sweets. So I haven't done any sweets since August. And man, quitting sugar was like one of the hardest things I ever did. I felt like like sugar was calling my name, like, please, Saad, come back to me. I was like, no, I can't. So even now, my daughter would be like, hey, Dad, can you pick me up some ice cream at the store? Sure. And I'll just bring it to her, but like I ain't eating it. Because I realized that my weight and my health, because I turned 53 in a few months. My gosh, I'm getting old. So I have to watch what I do. So giving up sugar was huge for me. But that was just what worked for me. So what works for me is intermittent fasting, 16-8, and then not doing desserts and doing a pescatarian diet. That works for me, keeps my cholesterol good, my health is great, my blood pressure is great, and life is good. And I lost, 30 some pounds in just a couple months, just making some minor changes. I mean, it was difficult, don't get me wrong, but did it. But then my friend Stomp, he went from an estimated 600 pounds, and over a couple years, he's now down to 280. And the guy is probably about 6'3", 6'4". And, he's getting down to like what his normal weight is. But he did it a different way. Like his intermittent fasting, he did the OMAD, where he eats 1 meal a day. And instead of being a pescatarian like me, he does the paleo diet. So he like, where's it? The carnivore. He eats a lot of meat. Where like I eat hardly any meat, but he eats a lot of meat, and it's working for him. And he's exercising a lot. So, but his exercise, he was doing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, but that wasn't his big exercise. His big exercise was he was hiking with his dogs, exploring the canyons and stuff. And then he got into riding mountain bikes. And so the weight just sort of melted off of him. And that's worked for Stomp. Super successful. Probably one of the best success stories I've ever seen when it comes to weight loss. Like, I've never seen anybody go from 600 to 280. Like, that's just amazing. But he did it in a different way than, say, other people would. And so his way may or may not work for you. And then you have another person at the gym, Jonathan. He was around 210, 212. And then he, of course, is exercising, doing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. He's one of my brown belts. But he just started calorie counting, and he went from 212 to he's like 150 now. Like, it's an amazing, in just over I don't know, maybe 7-8 months, a tremendous weight loss. And he was already like healthy. He was competing at a high level in jiu-jitsu tournaments, and he managed to make the weight melt off of him. But no special diet, just he focuses on healthy foods, and he counts his calories in addition to working out. So I say all that to say that there's no one magical diet that's going to get you there. But focusing on eating healthy foods is going to help you. It's going to help get you there. But no matter how hard you work out, you're not going to be able to outwork a bad diet. And if you're not getting enough sleep too, that's also going to add to your weight gain and your overall unhealthiness. So there's more than one thing that you need to focus on. So come into jiu-jitsu. Don't wait till you get into shape to start jiu-jitsu, which goes back to our original answer. And that there's more than one way to lose weight. And just realize that your weight is just a symptom of an overall health problem. It is not the only thing. Like, it's not like, oh, if I just lost all this weight, I wouldn't have health issues. No, there's people that are like world-class athletes that die of heart attacks because they eat horrible. They work out a lot, but like they don't get enough sleep. They have other things, that they're doing that exercise looks like it's the only solution that's, like, well, they're in great physical shape. They run marathons or they do whatever, But these other two things will catch up with you. If you're not having a good diet and you're not getting an appropriate amount of sleep, exercise alone will not be the answer to your good health. And I think that's what we as people should focus on. Like, I would never recommend somebody focus exclusively on their weight loss. Because if you have good health and you're a few pounds overweight, man, stay there. Like, that's good. If you're like my friend Stomp and you're 600 pounds, you realize that you're not going to live a long life at 600 pounds. Like, you just have to be honest with people. Say, hey, it's not just exercise, but your diet, your sleeping, you're going to have to do these things. And it's not like you're not, I don't want anybody to say, oh, Saad's fat shaming us because he's talking about weight loss. No. It's just like, one of my students was like, man, I wish I could improve my cardio. And he was telling me that as he was smoking an electronic cigarette. I'm like, I got an idea of how you could improve your cardio. Real quick fix. And I wasn't cigarette shaming him. It's just, as his friend, I was giving him a health tip. Like, you probably ought not smoke cigarettes because that's not good for you. Or I got another friend. I forgot the disease he has from alcohol, but he drinks too much alcohol. And so as his friend, I'm like, hey man, I can't invite you over to be drinking with me, because I know I'm contributing, to your illness, so as your friend, like, hey, we can come over and, we can do events together that don't involve drinking. So, but, I'm not alcohol shaming him, just, I'm looking for his good health, because if alcohol and cigarettes or drugs didn't have any adverse health effects, it'd be like, yeah, do your thing. But I know all three of them are going to kill you. As well as, if you don't take care of your health, you're just not going to live a long life. So that sort of rambled on. Sorry about that. But the answer is, yes, you can do jiu-jitsu. Even if you're extremely overweight, you can come in, do what you can do. I don't expect you to do, if you're out of shape, to be able to do everything that an in-shape person is doing. Like a guy or a lady that's been with me for 7-8 years is going to be able to do more than you are going to be able to do. So you're going to come in, you're going to do what you can do. And then eventually you're going to get better and better physical conditioning, and then you'll be able to do more. And that's the goal. So it's not to compare you against somebody else, it's to compare you from how you were yesterday to today, and then from today to tomorrow, and then how we're going to be next month, how we're going to be next year, 10 years from now. And you want to be better 10 years from now than you were today. You want to be better tomorrow than you were today. I want to be better today than I was yesterday. So don't compare yourself to others. Come in, do what you can do. Don't wait until they come up with some magic pill that you can take and then like you lose all this weight. Don't wait for that pill, because that pill ain't coming. And if it does come, I don't think I would take that pill. I would not recommend that. So come on in, train, but just realize that, back to the answer to the question, is yes, you can do jiu-jitsu and be overweight. And yes, you can become really good at jiu-jitsu and be overweight. But no, doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu alone will not cause you to lose a significant amount of weight if you're not also addressing your diet and your sleep. So you're going to have to address it all if weight loss is your goal. But as I said throughout the video, being overweight is just a symptom of your health. We want to improve your health, and to do that, yes, we're going to have to give you exercise, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu can provide that for you. But we also need to work on your diet, what your food choices are, and we need to take a look at, your sleep. Are you getting enough sleep? Because if you're not, you're setting yourself up for failure, and lack of sleep will cause weight gain. So sometimes it's like, we end up being counterproductive to our goals. All right, I took too long on this video. I apologize, but I just had a lot to say, I suppose. So thank you for tuning in. Remember, if you got a question, write it down below, or when you see me in class, be like, hey, Saad, how about an answer to this question? And I'll do my best to give you an answer. All right, thank you so much, and I will see you next week.